Pashachiputram atra surupam Rupam tasya kachamuri purim Maturim Pushtuvat Radha Kundamagirivaram Aho Radhika Madhvasam Rapto Yasa Patita Kripaya Shri Guru Tam Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadvaktaya Namo Namah Anandalilamaya Vigrahaya Hemavaddivyaschavi Sundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasapradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Sham Sundar Skandashika Smaraha Smurli Manohara Radhika Rasikam Mama Kripanadhe Supriya Charna Kinkurim Kuru Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Everyone. Hey Krishna, Hey Yadava, Hey Saketi Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Tavevasmi Najivami Tayavana Iti Vikyaya Devi Tam Namam Charantikam. First of all, I offer my Sastang Dandavat Puspanjali, my heart like flowers thousands of times at the lotus feet of my holy master, my supremely worshipable spiritual Gurudev, Asmadhya Paramarajatama, Guru Pada Padma, Nitya Lila Parvishta Om Vishnupada Stotra Satasri Rupanugacharya Varya, Srila Bhakti Vedanta, Narayana Gosvami Maharaj. Secondly, I offer my pranam thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Param Gurudev. I offer my pranam to Param Puja Srila Bhakti Vedanta Bhaman Goswami Maharaj, to Srila Prabhupada and to all Vasi Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Parampara. And finally, I offer my pranam to Param Pujapad Sri Bhakti Vedanta Bhagavat Maharaj, Pujapad Sri Srimati Shamrani Didi, and all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Vanchakapaturu Sakripa Sindhu Bhavatina Purim Pavani Vaishnavi Bhyo Namo Namo. There are so many tattvas that we have to realize. Jiva tattva, Maya tattva, Bhakti tattva, Leela tattva, Prem tattva, Radha tattva, Vilas tattva. But of all the tattvas, first and foremost is Guru tattva. If a person fails to enter deeply into Guru tattva, then all the other tattvas, they can forget about that, because that's very, very far away. But if a person will enter into Guru tattva, then automatically all the other tattvas become available to him. So this Guru tattva is something very astonishing. Sri Krishna himself has described Guru tattva to Uddhavji. He said, Anadya vidya yuktasya purusasya vedanam svatho na sambhavad anyas tattvagyo jnanado bhavet. Hey Uddhav, the jiva, the living entity, anadya vidya yuktasya, he is united with avidya. Anadi, from time with no beginning. Anadya vidya yuktasya. And because of this, he only knows material things. But the cause of his bondage has no beginning in material time. So there's no way he can get out. Swato na sambhavad. That sambhav means possible. No sambhav. It is completely impossible for him to get out from this anadi avidya. So every living entity in this world is united with that avidya. No one can get out. Then how will anyone ever get out? This is the question. So Sri Krishna said, Anyas tattvago jnanado bhavet. There must be at least another person who knows tattva, who knows the truth. And can tattvagyo, he knows the truth, jnanado bhavet, and he can give that truth to someone else. So if all the atmas in this world, they're all in avidya, then who's the other person? Who knows the truth and can give that truth? That is Paramatma. But the problem is, Jive Shakshat Nahi Tati Guru Chaitya Rupe. Shishi Guru Hoy Krishna Mahanta Swarupe. The conditioned soul also, he cannot perceive and understand the Paramatma in his heart. So very kindly, that Paramatma is manifest outwardly and appears before us as Shri Guru. This is Guru Tattva. What is avidya? Consider it very carefully. We are Atma, we are the soul. What relationship do we have with this body and mind? Do you know?
No.
It's the Sashi Sringa Sambandha. Sashi Sringa Sambandha means the relationship between a rabbit and horns. Have you ever seen a rabbit with horns? No. Well, that's the relationship you have with, your soul has with your body and mind. It doesn't. Understand? Huh? Your soul is transcendental. It doesn't have a relation with this body and mind even. But something happened. You know that if there is a crystal and there's a red rose next to the crystal, then the colors of the red rose will be shining there in the crystal. So this redness is not in the crystal. It belongs to something else, but it's appearing there. This appearance of the qualities of the rose in the crystal, this is called upadhi, a designation, upadhi. So, in the same way, actually, our soul, our consciousness has no relationship with the material world and has no material qualities. But the upadhi of the material body and mind is reflected in our chitta, in our consciousness. Now, the superimposition of the upadhi, in Sanskrit, the superimposition is called adhyas. Adhyas. So the upadhi of our body and mind is adhyas, superimposed on the consciousness of our soul. By what? That Shakti which accomplishes the adhyas, the superimposition of the body and mind on the consciousness of the soul, that is called avidya. Now you understand what is avidya. So prema bhakti jahoiti avidya vinashayati. See, Guru is that person who destroys the influence of that avidya, which is causing the superimposition of the body and the mind, this complex on the soul, which really has no relation with these things. They are completely external, material, temporary, and nothing to do. We have nothing to do with that. But day after day, week after week, year after year, life after life, we are absorbed in that illusion of Maya. So see, Guru is the person who comes, and by his very powerful words, he cuts that bewilderment and removes that avidya. Perhaps you know that Srila Sanatana Goswami Pad, when he met with Srila Haridas Thakur, he said to him, Achar prachar namer karaha dui karya, tumi sarva guru, tumi jagatera arya. Oh, Haridas Thakur, some persons, they chant, but they don't preach. And some persons, they preach, but they don't chant. Some people do prachar, but not achar, their own practice. Some people do achar, but they're not doing any prachar. But you, Haridas Thakur, achar, prachar, namer, kara, dui karya. You are perfect in your achar and perfect in your prachar. Therefore, Tumi sarva guru, tumi jagate arya. Therefore, you are guru. You are jagate arya, the most respectable and honorable person in the whole universe. You are jagat guru. So, Srila Gurudev is that. The person whose achar and whose prachar is perfect, and therefore he is jagat guru. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Pad said, Yajapi Amara Guru Chaitanya Das Tatapi Janya Ami Tahara Prakash. Although I know that my Gurudev is Chaitanya Das, he is a servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but at the same time, I see him as Tahara Prakash, the Prakash of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So one should have both visions. My Gurudev, he is a pure Vaishnava and most beloved of Radha and Krishna and Mahaprabhu. And same time, Gurudev is one Prakash of Mahaprabhu. So the Gaura Prakash is who? Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu. Akhanda Guru Tattva. The power of Nityananda Prabhu is there. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Pad, when he describes the pastimes of Nityananda Prabhu, he says, Prema Pracharana Ara Pashanda Dalan Dui Karya Avaduta Karina Brahman. The Avadut Nityananda Prabhu, he was wandering here and there, doing two duties. Prema Pracharan Ara Pasanda Dalan. Pasand Dalan means he was crushing all the atheistic arguments, Mayavad, and all types of deviations from pure bhakti, and Prema Prachar. He was spreading the Prem everywhere, preaching Prem everywhere. So this is the Guru Tattva, and we see how that Akhanda Guru Tattva is completely present in Srila Gurudev, how Srila Gurudev, his achar, his own practice, his own bhajan was perfect. Janma sartarta kare kara para upakar. Mahaprabhu said, first make your own life perfect and then help the whole world. So how he practiced himself, his achar and his vichar, his siddhanta, and also his prachar. I want to speak on these two things because they are the two aspects of the Nityananda Prakash in this world. These are the two aspects by which a person is recognized as Jagat Guru. Understand? So first of all, Srila Gurudev's achar, his own practice, his own behavior. When he, on the very first day, after he left his home, he left his family. Vajjad api kathurani mriduni kushamadapi lokotara chaitangsi kono vigyatam ishvaraha. It is said that a Vaishnava is hard as a thunderbolt and soft as a rose. So lokotaratam chaitangsi, who can understand the consciousness of those persons who are beyond this world? So even though he had family, wife and children, and he was very loved by everyone, he was a celebrity in his village, but he became hard as a stone. And forgetting everything, he ran away in the middle of the night. And when he came at the lotus feet and met with his Gurudev, the first time he fell at the feet of Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj. And he said, whatever love I have in my life for my family members and all relatives, I am collecting it all together. And all that I all love, I am giving fully at your lotus feet. Param Gurudev, afterwards he said, no one had ever said this to me before. And the tears came in the eyes of Param Gurudev. So what incredible, deep sambandha of Sadguru and Satsishya from the very beginning. But we have to say that really this is a lila, it's not the very beginning, because the Vinod Manjari and our Gurudev, they are Sakis in the spiritual world, but this was their first time meeting in their pastimes in this world. So the love was already very, very powerful. Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesha Maharaj, at first, Gurudev was traveling with him everywhere. And Gurudev was always asking questions all the time. But after some time, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesha Maharaj sent out Gurudev and told him, you have to go and be in Mathura and stay there. And then he was though his Gurudev was in this world, he was for a long time, quite separated from his Gurudev. He would come for Navadvip Parikrama and his Gurudev would come to Brajmandal for Brajmandal Parikrama. Otherwise, he was serving in separation. Gurudev told me at that time, he said, I could not ask a question to my Gurudev. And at that time, Gurudev said his Guru told him to translate Jaiva Dharma into Hindi. So Gurudev was translating, and sometimes some question would come. Gurudev said, then I used to fold my eyes and say, Gurudev, what does it mean? And then Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesha Maharaj will send him the inspiration to translate everything perfectly. So Gurudev was staying in Mathura. That was at that time, it was very difficult for Gaudiyas preaching among the Brijbasis, because the Brijbasis are very, into their own Brijbas culture. So Gaudiyas, this Sampradaya, it seems like it's from Bengal, because it's Gaudiya. But Gaudiya does not mean from Bengal. Gaudiya means the dasis of Gauri. Radhika's name, Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi. She's Gauri. She's has a golden complexion, and those who are completely surrendered to the one-pointed service of Radhika, they're called Gaudiya. But anyway, those types of prejudices were there. But Srila Gurudev, he was so kind and so loving and so influential that very soon thousands and thousands of Brijbasis, they were honoring him and accepting him as Guru. So when Gurudev first came to Mathura, it was a very difficult place to preach. And you know that Mathura is a city, but actually the whole of Braj Mandal is called Mathur Mandal. Mathura Mandal. You know what Mathura means? Ma means Madhusudan, Krishna. And Ra means Radha. And those who are in the line of Rupa Goswami, if anything comes in between Madhusudan and Radha, then poof. So this is the meaning of Mathur Mandal. So Gurudev was staying there and serving his Gurudev. And he took so many responsibilities on his head. And sometimes, when you stay together with devotees, some conflicts arise. Loving conflicts. We hope loving conflicts. And some problems came. And then Srila Gurudev disappeared from the mat. So some persons have said, they made some wrong accusation that while Param Gurudev was in this world, our Gurudev, he left his Guru and he went away from the mat and he went to Radhakund, and there he has learned about Raganuga Bhakti and Radha Dasim, everything from Baba's there, and so on. Some people made this. So just before Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj left this world, I went to visit him on Radhastami at Govardhan. And I was thinking, who knows what happened at that time, the real story? He must know. He's perhaps the only person in the whole world who knew. So I privately went into his room while he was lying on his bed. I said, Maharaj, please, there's some aspect of my Gurudev's life history which is a mystery to the world. But I think in the whole world only you know. You are like the Kakabhushandi of the Gaudiya Math. Kakabhushandi lives for thousands of years and he knows. He saw with his own eyes everything in history. So you are like that. Do you know? He said, yes, I know what happened. So at that time, you see, though Gurudev is Nitya Siddha, eternal associate of Radha Krishna and Sachinandan Gohari, when such Nitya Siddhas come to this world, they have a leela, they perform a pastime of being a sadhak and going through the stages of bhakti and attaining their perfection. So at that time, outwardly, it seemed like there were some problems in the mat. But really, it was the inner calling of Gurudev. Radha Krishna were calling him to go completely deeply into his bhajan, 24 hours a day, So he left the mutt without telling anyone, and he came to Govardhan. When he was arriving in Govardhan, there was heavy rain, and there was flooding everywhere, and it was night time. He didn't have a place to go, he didn't have anything to eat, and just as he was wandering by Manasi Ganga, there the panda of Manasi Ganga, he came and saw Gurudev and said, he knew him. He said, "Oh, let me give you a place to stay." And he took him to one old abandoned house, just quite near to Manasi Ganga. He said, "You can stay there and I'll bring you some Mahaprasad." So then Gurudev was thinking, oh, really it's true. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paripasate tesham nityabhyuktanam yogatsema vahamyaham. If a person, there'll be ananyas chintayanta, that is completely absorbed, unbroken smaran of Sri Krishna's Leela, then Krishna himself, whatever they need, he'll personally bring it. So Srila Gurudev began to do his very deep Naam Bhajan there. Because we're discussing these things, Achar and Prachar. Just like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, for 10 years he stayed in Mayapur, chanting 3 lakhs Harinam every day. He did his Naam Brata like that. And then he had the pastime of preaching. So similarly, Srila Gurudev, he was there at Manasi Ganga. So when he was there, no one knew he was there, but it just so happened that he wrote a letter to Param Pujpad Srila Bhaktivigyan Bharati Gosvami Maharaj. And he said to him, "Oh, please, you don't tell anyone, but I am staying here and doing bhajan, and I have a very strong desire to read the commentaries of Ujjwala Nilamani by Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Vishwacharya Thakur. But this book is very rare, cannot find it anywhere." So then Srila Bhaktivigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj, he went to so many places, in bookshops in Delhi and Calcutta and different places, and after long search and with great difficulty, he procured a copy of that Ujjwala Nilamani with these commentaries, Lochan Rochani Tika, and of Srila Jiva Goswami and Ananda Chandrika Tika of Srila Vishwacharya Thakur, and he sent it to Gurudev. And Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj told me he was there in Keshavji Gaudiya Math in Mathura when Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj arrived. And the devotees and where is Bhaktivedanta Narayana Maharaj? And it was he has left. And Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj was there, and he said, "I saw that moment when Param Gurudev heard this, and Param Gurudev just burst out crying there and then." So he said to me, Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj said to me, he said, "You should understand this, that don't think that your Gurudev, he left his Gurudev in any way, but rather this was a special pastime. Just as the Prem of Braja Gopis, no one could understand how great it was until Sri Krishna disappeared from the Rasa Leela. And then they were weeping, Jayati Teyadikam Janmana Braja. So due to separation, the Prem that was in their heart, it was revealed. So in the same way, the intense Atyanta Pragara Mamata Yukta Lokik Sadbandhu Bat Sambandha, natural loving relationship infused with extremely condensed possessiveness that was in the heart, the love of Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj in his heart for his most dearest, as Shamarani Didi was saying, not disciple. The relation with the Sadguru and Satshisha, the Guru never thinks you are my disciple, he thinks you are my Pran. So when he heard that his Pran had gone, then his Prem came out. So it was a pastime to reveal to the world the very deep, transcendental, loving relationship between my Gurudev and his Gurudev. So Gurudev told to Srila Bhaktivigyan Bharati Maharaj later, when he came back, that I went and I met with some of the Babas in the Manasi Ganga. You know Chakleshwar Mahadev in the temple there? They are all the followers of Siddha Krishna Das Babaji. This is where the Gutika comes from, everything. Prayojan Das Babaji, Madhusudan Das Babaji and others. So Gurudev said, I went there to preach to them. about the Siddhanta of Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But they could not. They could not accept it like this. So, Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj, he said, and the proof of the loyalty of your Gurudev to Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesh Maharaj, that there was no impediment at all in their relationship, is that as soon as Gurudev came back to the mat, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesh Maharaj said, again you should be in charge of everything. Like as if nothing had happened at all. This is Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj explained it in this way. So Gurudev himself said, because you know that generally among the Gaudiya mats, the Rasakata remains quite hidden, and sometimes it's so hidden that it's like, where is it? So Gurudev, knowing this fact, he knew that I'll have to, once we were in Jagannath Puri and we're sitting in the birthplace of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Gurudev was sitting with just a few of us there, and he said, for 40 years I have preached about Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Chitraketu Maharaj, Ambarish Maharaj, but now I will preach the glories of Radha Dasyam, service to Srimati Radhika, and those who will be with me in my final years, they will get it. So Srila Gurudev, he saw it was necessary, it was time that this discussion should be presented with the greatest honor, with a proper perspective. So Srila Gurudev said, oh, don't think that I have received anything from outside. I have received everything from my Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami. And even privately he said to me, he said, even though I say that this devotee is my Shiksha Guru, this devotee is my Shiksha, and it's true. The other senior disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, but you should know, I received everything from my Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. And especially, Gurudev said, he has given me Gopi Bhav mantra. So what else is there to give? And also he has given, perhaps have you seen, there's a book called Rupanuga Bhajan Sampat. No, it should be translated into English. But in 1958, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, he wrote one book called Rupanuga Bhajan Sampat, which is the very elaborate and beautiful explanation of all the fine mysteries of Rupanuga Bhajan. And so that's 1958, 10 years before Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj left this world, he wrote this book and personally gave all of these teachings to our Gurudev. So we can see that from Gurudev's young career and pastimes, there when he was in that house on the bank of Manasi Ganga, he said that's where he had the pastime of attaining his siddhi and realization of his nitya seva to Radha and Krishna. And throughout his life we saw, by his kindness I had the chance to travel with him everywhere, 24 times around the world, and he was completely absorbed in chanting all the time. When we were flying anywhere, we would get on the plane, and then just to encourage us, because we should not speak. Apana bhajana kata na kahibo jata tata. We should not speak about our own bhajan to others. But sometimes a guru may open his heart. Sometimes he would tell, oh, I chanted 2 lakhs on this flight. 128 rounds I completed on this flight. So, once Srila Gurudev was in Hawaii, and Gurudev said, actually, in this life, my sadhana is complete. I have nothing more to do in this life. He said, so I am only staying here for you. We are living because we are trying to do sadhana to attain our perfection. But Gurudev said, everything I have done now, so I am staying here just for you. And that seems like a very high thing to say, but actually that was his humility. Understand? Because he's already siddha. But only having the lila of how he's becoming perfect. So once we were in Cebu, in the Philippines, and there in Cebu, Srila Gurudev, he was writing his commentary on Bhajan Rahasya. So he was very deeply absorbed in writing that commentary. And then one morning he said, "Oh, as I am writing this commentary, wherein Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is presenting, you see, Gurudev said that Jaiva Dharma explains all about Gaudiya Vaishnavism, A to Z, from beginning to end, in a general way. But in Bhajan Rahasya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has opened up the verses that he himself used to chant and used to meditate on while he was chanting japa in his own bhajan. So a general description of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given in Jaiva Dharma, and his own personal kind of like, let us say, like a diary of his own internal bhajan he's given to us in this treasure Bhajan Rahasya. So Srila Gurudev was writing his commentary on this, and he said, as I am writing this commentary, I am realizing how Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Swarupas, Kamala Manjari, is serving Radha and Krishna, and how Kamala Manjari is in her seva relishing all the various bhavs which are here in Bhajan Rahasya. So we're discussing what? Achar and Prachar. So first I have just touched on this topic, Srila Gurudev's Achar, his own practice. Now we come to the subject of Srila Gurudev's Prachar. I don't really have to express it because it has been reflected in the hearts of so many devotees. But the Prachar of Gurudev, it cannot be explained. It cannot be analyzed from a material perspective of where he went and what he did or what he said. Everything was going on by his mystic power. By the mystic power of his Prem. Srila Gurudev, he used to, when we were traveling around the world, he always used to send me ahead to the next country to prepare everything there, and then he would come, and then I go to the next country, and then like this. So, and I was very young and enthusiastic. So I would fly off to the next place, and now I'm going to prepare everything for good. But when I got there, what I would do is that I would meet with so many people who had never met Gurudev, but I thought I was the advanced party. But Gurudev himself had already gone, and in the dreams of those people appeared to them. And then I realized, what am I doing here? I thought I was the advanced party, but Gurudev was already the advanced party. And so I'm just collecting these people and telling them, on this day and this time you should come here and meet with Srila Narayana Maharaj. So his preaching was going on by his mystic power. It's indescribable. It's inexplicable. Even those who were trying to stop his preaching, they also knew that fact. And they would warn the devotees, if Srila Narayana Maharaj comes here, don't look in his eyes. On the one hand, it's kind of criticizing, but actually it was glorifying. You know? When the demons, they try to criticize Krishna, but their words, Saraswati takes them and it becomes a glorification. So in the same way, even when they try to criticize Gurudev, their criticism was a very great glorification. They don't look in his eyes. Why? Because they know he's just looking at someone and taking their heart forever. So Gurudev's preaching is by mystical power. Once one reporter asked, Swamiji, you have so many students and disciples all over the world. This must be a very great burden for you and a great responsibility. Gurudev said, not at all. I don't feel any responsibility or any burden at all. Why? The reporter said, how is that? How is it possible? He said, because behind the curtain, Shishi Gornitai are dancing. And their foot dust is going into the air like that, and they are doing all the preaching. And then the foot dust of Gornitai is making everyone dance. And I am just going here and watching everything, witnessing. Just witnessing. So you see, there's Shakshi. There's a way in which we look at Gurudev, but there's the way in which Gurudev sees himself, and they're quite different. We think, Gurudev, he is great guru, great sannyasi, great acharya, and Gurudev is thinking, I am just like an empty straw. Once one PhD student was doing a thesis on gurus, and he came to interview Gurudev. And he asked him, he said, he took his notebook, so please tell me, when did you decide to become a guru? And Gurudev said, I am not a guru. So there's a few disciples sitting around, so then that person, but who are these people here? Gurudev said, they are not my disciples. They are my friends. And together we are making an atmosphere which is favorable for bhajan. This was Gurudev's mood. That person then he asked, when you leave this world and you go to Goloka Vrindavan, who will be the next acharya after you?
You will.
Gurudev didn't even hear the second part of the sentence. He only heard, when you leave this world and go to Goloka Vrindavan. Gurudev said, I will not go to Goloka Vrindavan. But I am praying that in my next life, if I can become a blade of grass on the bank of Jamuna, then when the Vaishnavas are doing parikrama of Vrindavan, I will get barefoot dust. Gurudev said to me, oh, Prem, I am not a great scholar. Because I always think Gurudev is a great scholar. And it's true. But Gurudev said, I am not a great scholar. I have not studied Shastra very much. Really, I have not studied Shastra very much. Because when I read one verse, I sink into that verse for 6 months. And become lost in that for 6 months. So this is more than any type of worldly scholarship. So, Srila Gurudev's preaching. I want to say that Srila Gurudev preached in such a way, something which is called Gaudiya Gaurav. Gaurav means dignity. Gaudiya Gaurav. So this is the sign of a person who has Sambandha Gyan. You know, there are 3 stages in bhakti. First from Diksha comes the Sambandha Gyan. Then there is the Abhideya and then the Prayojan Tattva. So the sign that the person has received Sambandha Gyan is that their entire consciousness is immersed in the Gaudiya Gaurav. The highest respect for Mahaprabhu, his associates, and his teaching. For the parampara. Gurudev said, if someone will say to you, oh, what's your Gurudev's name? Well, very often, when people asking what's the name of your Guru, they don't always have a good intent. Sometimes it's with ill intent. Some kind of ulterior motivation. So Gurudev, if someone asks, oh, what's the name of your Guru? Then you should say, what austerities have you done in this life and previous lives that you can hear the name of my Gurudev? Gaurav, the honor, the respect for the aprakrita vastu, for all the divine transcendental substances. Then he said, and if someone is very sincere, and you think they should hear the name of your Gurudev, then take off your shoes, fold your hands and bow your head and say, Om Vishnupada Stotra Satasri Rupanuga Charya Varya Bhakti Vedanta, like this, with full title. And then the person will go, and it will impart that gaurav, that honor to others. This is the sign of a Gaudiya, that they themselves are immersed in the most profound respect for all the aprakrita vastu. Because modern culture is very sloppy, right? Wear sweatpants and a t-shirt, and it's very sloppy culture. The way the dealings and the way we think and speak and everything. So when someone becomes established in Sambandha Gyan, they have the Gaudiya Gaurava. So Srila Gurudev, he used to, especially, that Srila Sanatana Gosvami has given Sri Bhagavatamrita to establish us in Sambandha Gyan. And there, in the end, he has given the Bhakti Rasayan, many important verses of Srimad Bhagavatam with beautiful explanations. So when I first lived with Srila Gurudev in Mathura, very, we have to be extremely against anything which will separate Radha and Krishna. So, sorry, I got off the point. So when I was staying in Mathura with Srila Gurudev, in the afternoon he used to chant and read Sanatana Goswami's commentary, and he used to make notes in a pencil very, very meticulously, and then he would come down to give his evening class and go through every word of each verse of these verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, and bringing out all the beautiful moods of Srila Sanatana Goswami there. And by hearing this Katar of Bhakti Rasayan, this Gaudiya Gaurav begins to seep into our heart. Koi mastriya vanachari vyabachara dushta Krishne kvachais paramatmani rudh bhava nandeshwaro nubajuto vijasopi sakshat srayasthanotya gadaraj ivopayukta. Srila Gurudev was in great ecstasy speaking this verse. Uddhavji, Uddhav has just seen Radhika becoming mad and speaking with the bumblebee. And he cannot believe, what have I seen? Uddho suddho ho gayo braj gopin ki bo prema bajai gana bajai dugdugi baja prema kaddo. He said in Braj Bhasha. Uddho suddho ho gayo. Uddhav became Suddha, purified. So that means he was thinking when he was in Mathura, I am very close to Krishna. Vrishninam pravaro mantri Krishnasya daitasaka. I am Krishna's closest associate. I am Krishna's nearest devotees. I am the most devoted person to Krishna. But when he came to Braja and he saw the prema of Braja Gopis, then he realized, I am nowhere. His intelligence was like a hat. And he was looking at the top of Mount Everest of Gopi's Prem, and he could not see the top, and his hat fell off to the ground. His intelligence failed. And then, pointing his finger towards the Gopis and trembling, he said, Kwe mastriya vanachari bhyabachara. Oh, where are these Gopis and where am I? People say vyabachara dushta, that the Gopis, they are contaminated. Dushta, contaminated by vyabachari. That is a deviation from dharmic principles. But no, vyabachara dushtaha. Dushtaha, this is masculine plural. Uddhav is saying, no, I, Uddhav, Narad, Vyasadev, all the 12 Mahajans and the 4 Kumars, we are all vyabachara dushta. We are all contaminated because we cannot serve Krishna fully. Braj Gopis are serving Krishna fully. Kanta bhava nijanga diya karena sevan. Gopis, they serve Krishna with their whole bodies, with all of their senses. This is only in Madhurya Rasa, not in any other rasa. So, Kwe Mastriya, where are these Gopis and where am I? They have Ruddha Bhav, they have Mahabhav. I have no such qualification. But Krishna is very kind to me. Why? Because I thought I was coming to Braja to deliver his message, but now I realize he sent me to have sadhu sangha. Who are the greatest sadhus? Braja Gopis. Sadhu sangha, sarva shasti koi. That means gopi sangha, sarva shasti koi. Lava matra gopi sangha, sarva siddhi koi. Uddhav is there is thinking, oh, now I realize I have never served Krishna. But by hearing the nectarian words, Punati Bhuvanaptrayam, when the gopis glorify, and I hear the kirtan of Krishna from the lips of Braj Gopis, then surely I'll become elevated, I'll be benefited by this. Because though I am ignorant and I don't understand bhakti at all, but just as an ignorant person who does not understand what is nectar, if he's dying but he drinks some nectar, it will bring him to life, even though he does not know the chemical formula for this medicine. So in the same way, the Harikatha, the glories of Braj Gopis, the glories of Sri Krishna, coming from the lips of Braj Gopis, is such a medicine that even an ignorant person, if he's touched by this medicine, he must attain pure prem. So such gopi came into this world as Srila Gurudev. And Srila Gurudev was speaking the glories of Radha and Krishna. Those who are fortunate to hear him, even though they may be avidush, completely ignorant of anything, but if they're simply touched by the air that touched the guitar coming from the lips of Srila Gurudev, then it's definite that in this life or next life or some life, very, very soon, we will attain the Nitya Seva of Radha and Krishna. I'm asking the timekeeper, do you have anything left over? 5 minutes. Okay.
You want to return it back to the chair?
So, I want to tell just one more thing. That is that being with Srila Gurudev, it was, you have an experience like, it's like being with the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. Because Gurudev fully embodied the mood of Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami and others. One morning, I went with Srila Gurudev in a small car to Radhakund, and Gurudev was looking around. At that time he was thinking to buy some building on the bank of Radhakund to have a mat there. That didn't happen. He got later Manasiganga. The reason he got that land at Manasiganga, do you know why? Because on that land was the house where he did his bhajan and had the pastime of attaining his siddhi. When I was a young brahmachari, I also ran away from the mat. And that house was still, and I went and stayed in that house and did bhajan just to remember Gurudev. And later Gurudev bought that land and that it was knocked down. Then I was very sad. Why did they knock down the house? But the Giridhari Gaudiya Mat was built on that land. And Srila Gurudev's Pushpa Samadhi is there. So, anyway, so we came to Radhakund, and so we looked for some place, and then Gurudev took us onto the bank of Radhakund to offer some prayers, and we were at the Sangam, and Gurudev was just leaving. So at that time, one of the Brahmins of Radhakund was running behind Gurudev and saying, "Oh, Maharaj, please accept me as your disciple." And Gurudev stopped, and he turned around, and he folded his hands. He said, "Our Prayojan Acharya, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami has said, Guru Goshte Goshtale Su Sujane Busuragane. Oh my dear mind, please have intense unprecedented attachment for Gurudev, for Brajamandal, for the residents of Braj, for the Vaishnavas of other Sampradayas, and for the Brahmins of the Dham." So Gurudev said, you are a Brahmin of the Dham. Not only of the Dham, you are a Brahmin of Radhakund, the highest place in the Dham. So you are worshipable for me. Our Raghunath Das Goswami said, you are worshipable for me. So how can I accept you as my disciple? When I heard Gurudev say this, it was as if the avesh of Raghunath Das Goswami had entered into him. Because Acharya is like that. That the avesh of any Rupa, Sanatan, Jiva Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, they can enter into Sri Guru and speak through them. So then when Gurudev said, how is it possible? You are worshipful for me. Then that Brahmin, he started to cry. And then seeing his tears, Gurudev's heart melted. He said, all right, come and visit me tomorrow and we'll discuss. He didn't say yes, he just said, come and visit, we'll talk. So Gurudev was very much loved by the Brajbasis. At one point I had to do some seva in Davasarisi Gaudiya Mat. So from Mathura you have to go to Vishram Ghat and get a boat across the river. So I was often going backwards and forwards with the boatmen. And as the old Brajbasi boatman was rowing the boat, then he used to ask me, oh, how is Bada Baba? How is Bada Baba? The great Baba. So I was very touched by this. You know why? Because at the time of our Goswamis, all the Brajbasis, that's the name they used to use for Sanatan Goswami. Bada Baba. For Sanatan Goswami. And I said, oh, just see. The Brajbasis, they love Gurudev, just like the Brajbasis at that time loved Srila Sanatan Goswami. And the Brajbasis, they love Gurudev so much that in October 2003, there was a big festival in Uchagaon. Do you remember? And the award was given to Gurudev Yuga Acharya. So there, in near Varsana there is Uchagan, and on the side of Uchagan there's a place called the Braj Acharya Peeth. Braj Acharya Peeth, because it's the bhajan stali of Narayana Bhatta Goswami, who he was a grand disciple of Gadara Pandit, and he came to Braj when he was very young with a Gopal deity, and he traveled all over Braja, and his Gopal deity would tell him, I did this pastime here and this pastime there, and he wrote Braj Bhakti Vilas. So many of the places all over Braj Mandal were discovered by Narayana Bhatta. So he's called the Braj Acharya, and that's called the Braj Acharya Peeth. And he also discovered Larili Lal, and they are the deities in the Shriji Mandir at the top of the hill in Varsana. They manifested to him in that place. So Srila Gurudev was invited to come there, and the Acharya at that time, his name was the Srila Deepak Bhatta Goswami, and he brought together all the Brahmanas of Varsana on one side were sitting, and all the Brahmanas of Nandagaon were sitting on the other side. The head of all the Gop community of Nandagaon, and all the Gops were this side, and the head of the Gop community of Nandagaon was here, and also other villages around the area, Chiksoli and Sonara and other villages. They were there. So many Brijbasis were there, and they were all there to honor Gurudev with a title. So it was read out. Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami, he is learned in all Veda and Vedanta. He has complete dedication to his Gurudev and his Sampradaya of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is full of compassion for everyone and loves all people of all religions. He is completely dedicated to renovating and restoring the glorious places all over Brajamandal. So on behalf of all the Brijbasis of Nandagaon, Varsana and other villages, we want to present you with this title, Yuga Acharya. And then they all came and they sprinkled petals on the head of Srila Gurudev, and they did a flat abhishek. Srila Gurudev ki jai! So then all the petals were falling on Gurudev, and they asked him to speak. Srila Gurudev said, I am not at all worthy of this title. I think that you have awarded me this title. This is your glory, this is your kindness and your generosity. But really, I am not a suitable person to have the title Yuga Acharya. In this Yuga, many Acharyas came, like Ramanuja Acharya, Madhvacharya, Vishnu Swami, Nimbadicha Acharya, and our Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. Compared to them, I am completely insignificant. So I am not worthy of this award. And many times I was requested by the Acharya here to accept, but I did not accept. But finally he brought me here today. So I am not qualified, but I want to say one thing. In my life, I am 100% dedicated my life to serving the Brijbasis. Who is a real Brijbasi? Not a now he's got a big audience of Brijbasis from Nandagaon and Varsana. Remember? Now you see how Gurudev is a Nirbhik Vakta. That means fearless, completely fearless speaker. He said, who is a Brajabasi? A person who has a natural love for Sri Krishna, like Nanda and Yashoda, like Subal Sridham, like Braj Gopis. They are real Brajabasis. And the real Brajbasi, they know that Krishna, he may be Brajesh. He may be Brajesh, but he's not Raseshwara. Only Radharani is Raseshwari. Radharani is Raseshwari. She is the mistress of the Rasalila. When Radhika clicks her fingers, she can click her fingers and make Krishna dance. Radhika, only by her glance she can make Krishna stand up, sit down and stand up again. So what to speak of Radhika? Even Mother Yashoda, when Mother Yashoda takes a stick in her hand, then Krishna becomes afraid. So what to speak about the Prem of Mother Yashoda? Krishna weeping falls at the feet of Radhika and tells, Na pariyam niravajya samyajam swasadu krityam vibudaya shapiva yam mabhajan durjaya geya sinkala samrisha tadva pratiyatu itsaduna. I can never repay you. So this is the glory of Radhika's love. And the real Brijvasis, they aspire for her service, for Radha Dasyam. So in the Vedas when it says, Tamaso ma jyotir gamaya, go out of the darkness and into the light. This jyotir gamaya, going into the light, means go into Radha Dasyam. This is what it means. Go into Radharani's service. And I want to say, now as Gurudev speaking this, then the Brijvasis of the Varsana, because they support Radhika, they're all and on the other side of the audience, all the Nandagaon, everyone from Nandagaon, the Brahmanas and Govs, they're all Then Gurudev, he stirred it up even more. He said, I want to say that Nandagaon is not the sasural of Krishna, of Radhika, sorry. Sasural means mother-in-law's house. Nandagaon is not sasural of Srimati Radhika. Radharani never married Krishna. Where is it written in Srimad Bhagavatam that Radharani is living in Nandagaon? It's not written anywhere. Krishna lived together with Rukmini and Satyabhama and others. They had so many children. Where are the children of Radha and Krishna? No children. So you should not say that Radharani got married to Krishna. The glory of Krishna Leela is the Parakiya Bhav. Radharani is staying in Yavat and secretly meeting with Sri Krishna. This love is, this Parakiya Ras is the highest love. Though there's a pastime of Radha Krishna being married by Lord Brahma in Bandirvat, this was only a play wedding, Gandharva Vivaha. They exchanged garlands, they were just playing. It was not an actual marriage. So we should try to follow the teaching of Srimad Bhagavatam. There, everywhere, gopis have said, Patisutanvaya Bhratribandhavan, we left our husbands, we left our children, everything, just for you, Krishna. So this is the highest love. Go out of the darkness and into the light of Radha Dasya. So then, after Srila Gurudev spoke this, there was so much grumbling over here from the, and there was some complaining. So then Gurudev, I want to say something more. So then he said, don't become upset and think that I have minimized Krishna at all. I have not minimized Krishna, but rather I am speaking in Parokshavad. The Srimad Bhagavatam is speaking in Parokshavad. Parokshavad means indirect. You say one thing, but it has another meaning. So similarly, we see in Srimad Bhagavatam, when the Braj Gopis, they came to meet with Krishna in the Rasalila, he told them, you should go back to your village, serve your husbands, even if they are old, even if they are ill, even if they are cruel. Anyway, you should go and serve them. This is the proper duty of a chaste wife. But then the gopis said to Krishna, Yad patya patya suridam anubritti anga strinam swadharma itidama vidato yuktam astvetam evam upadesha padetvaishe prasto bhavanstanubitam kilabandhu atma. O Krishna, you have told us that we should follow dharma, and therefore you are our guru. And all the Shastra says that even before serving God himself, you should serve guru and then you should serve others afterwards. So because you have given us very good instructions, we will not go to our home, we will stay here and serve you first. This is the real dharma. We have heard from Gagacharya, from Purnamasi, that Gagacharya said, Tasman nandatna joyamte Narayana sumogune. Oh, your son has all qualities like Lord Narayan. So Lord Narayan is in the heart of everyone. So when a woman serves her husband, the secret of Dharma is she's not actually serving the body and mind of the husband. The secret of Dharma is she's serving the Paramatma. So Gagacharya said that you have all the qualities of the Paramatma and you are directly in front of us. So you told us to follow Dharma, we'll follow the essence of Dharma by serving you. So in this way, Srila Gurudev said, Srimad Bhagavatam is speaking in the Paroksha-vad. Actually, Krishna, he wants to have Raslila with gopis, but he's teasing them and speaking something different. Braj gopis also, they always dissimulate in their words. And here they're saying to Krishna, or we are your bhavami dasya, accept us as your maidservants. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, it's described, though I have glorified Radhika, and Gurudev said, though I have glorified Radhika to the highest, and the Braj Gopis to the highest, but what's great about the Braj Gopis? That they love Krishna. So how can you say that I've minimized Krishna? The greatness of Braj Gopis is that they love Krishna. It's true that Radhika is so beautiful, more beautiful than anyone, and Krishna is attracted to Radhika. And Radhika is also attracted to Krishna. But among the attraction of Krishna and the attraction of Radhika, whose is the most? Radhika is more attracted to Krishna than Krishna is attracted to Radhika, actually. So how beautiful is Krishna? So in this way, if you have heard that I have glorified Radhika, don't think that I have minimized Krishna, but by parokshavad. Because raso gupta eva rasatvam apadyate. Rasa becomes more relishable when it's hidden. And so it should be expressed in parokshavad, indirectly. So you should not think that I have minimized Krishna, but actually I was speaking the glories of Sri Krishna through parokshavad in a hidden way. Then all the pandas and all the Brahmins and Gops and of Nandagaon, they were very happy. Boye Vrindavan Bihari Lala ki jai, Vare Sanyavali ki jai, Jai Jai Sri Radhe. In this way, Srila Gurudev tied up the hearts of all of the devotees around the world and tied the hearts of all Brajvasis with the ropes of his prem. Srila Gurudev ki jai.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.